but we don't have to pay for it.
I would like to know whether you'd place any requirements on those private schools that could accept the vouchers of students. That is, would you permit a school that does not accept some children on the basis of religion? They're religious schools and they want to keep members of their own religion there.
You know, that's the old Bob Jones business. I think that if there is a sect that reads the Bible and comes to conclusions with which I disagree, I would yield to their right to interpret their religion in their own way.
That's not the question, whether they interpret their religion. The question is whether, if they exclude children on the basis of the child's religious affiliation, whether you would permit a voucher to be spent in that school.
That's sort of a false question in a sense, because in many of the Catholic schools in the ghettos,
I'm not talking about those schools that do accept everybody.
Wait a minute. Let me make the statement.
Damn, bro. Like, yo, let the man talk. I'm more to talk and keep positive. But it's interesting how he's trying to corner them into, shouldn't schools be accepting of everyone? They keep trying to go with this access point. And I think that's what they're trying to make the claim for public school. Access. And to me, access doesn't matter as much as quality. Is it good to have access to a failing school if you're not going to learn anything? Oh, at least you went to school. Yeah, but it was a failing school. I didn't learn much in that failing public school. But all it matters is access. That's all it matters. And even if private school have a standard where they're saying, hey, you have to believe these religious values for you to come into this school, or you have to abide by certain standards that we place upon you. Most private schools have that. You have to have a certain GPA or else your kid gets kicked out of the school. You must dress a certain way or your kid gets kicked out of school. Every business is entitled to have their standards, right? And instead of creating systems where we have to lower the standards for our kids, how about we make our kids strive for those standards? Standards inspire people to rise to the occasion, not fall, like make the standards fall to their level. It creates a level of incompetence in our children. And this is what's going on. This is why, even if you fail through class, I forgot what bill it was, No Child Left Behind. The worst thing that happened in our public education, because you remove standards from public education. And the reason why I also want privatized education is also that it gives us a different path of doing things, a different avenue. Because we saw it, like, no one knew they needed Netflix until Netflix was created. It's the same thing with privatized education. If a privatized education system arise and they have a new innovative way of educating kids and it revolutionized education, we better for it, even if it doesn't accept everybody. And the good thing about privatized education is that more of these things will pop up. So if you don't get accepted into one school, you can go to the other. I can make the same argument for college. Why doesn't Yale accept everybody? That's not access. Now, people may say, that's because it's a college, Kenny. It's not a public education system. But what's the point of the access point this dude's trying to do? He's trying to quarter them saying, what about access for private schools? So what? A private business is entitled to they have their freedom to sell and freedom not to sell. But I digress, man.
Then you can deny it. You can deny it or comment. The fact is that in many Catholic schools across this country, the majority of kids attending are Protestants, and that's especially true in the ghetto areas.
But those were not the schools that, all right, so you don't want to answer that question.
No, those are the majority of the private schools.
Let me emphasize that those of us who want to privatize, who want to have public institutions be controlled by their customers rather than by the politicians. We all want public institutions, and I insist the real issue is government versus private, not public versus private. Those of us who want the institutions that serve the public to be controlled by the customers are not in any way suggesting that the people who work for government institutions are lazy, inefficient, bad, or anything like that. It is not a criticism of the people. It's a criticism of the system. Someone came up to me in the intermission and said, I was a postal worker for 30 years. I worked hard. Of course he did. The individual postal workers, many of them, I won't say all of them, not true in private business either that all of them, but the great bulk of individual government employees are doing their very best to do their job. But the institutional arrangements under which they work make it impossible for them to do a good job.
Ooh.
It's the system that's at fault, not the people.
I agree. Hey, you saw a clip from my live stream Lives with Kenny. I appear on every Friday nights at between 7 p.m. to 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. If you like what you saw here, here's a suggestion for my next video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for watching to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.